a shoulder internal rotation technique, and what it's going to do is resist the arm coming into late cocking. So for some of our throwers who get problems in that late cocking stage, some of those posterior superior type impingement problems or some of those subacromial pain issues, can also be useful with some of our dislocated shoulders who are going back to sport, who are still a little apprehensive getting into that position. It's going to create nice resistance into there and nice approximation to help stabilise the joint a little bit. So we're going to start off with the arm in that short position once again. So we're going to come up and into internal rotation and then horizontally flex them. The more we come across the front, that's going to shorten this distance up, which means the tape's going to resist sooner as we come into horizontal extension and external rotation. So we'll just turn Nick slightly here. When you start, it's good to start on an angle up the limb. That provides a force vector superiorly to take the weight of the arm, a little bit like we do with some of our shoulder offloading type techniques. And then the force vector in this direction is going to create that resistance to rotation. So nice big anchor point as we start there. And also starting on that angle just means it's a little easier to spiral around the arm, and you also don't create a tourniquet effect through the compression because of the strong recoil in this tape. So we then bring them up into that shortened position. Make sure you hold your anchor really well, tension on, and sweep around the arm. I can let go here now, this is secured. What I don't want to do is let go here, or I may create some new tension points as I put tension on underneath again. So I just peel this back, keeping my tension constant, and then I can just come and lay it down through the front. So as we turn Nick around once more, we can bring this to the front a little bit, and then we need to make sure that as we lay down we stay on the humerus or possibly just on the acromion. But that way, by coming through the front, this is going to start resisting as the shoulder comes out and winds up. It's going to resist him into that apprehensive position. If we come too high and we miss the shoulder and we come over the top a little bit too much, then now we actually don't get any resistance as we come out into that position. Now sometimes we'll get those posterior superior impingements, so they might feel nice having a little bit of an anterior inferior force into there to, in theory, perhaps reduce some of that impaction or at least that force posterior superiorly, perhaps stop firing off some of those sensitized structures so much. So what we can do for those is actually just change our line of pull a little bit and actually come on about a 45-degree angle down. So I can even come in and rest Nick on my shoulder and do a little bit of an inferior glide and run that down. And so what we see then is as Nick comes up overhead, is this is actually now creating a bit of an anterior inferior force. If he's a dislocator who's dislocating anteriorly and inferiorly, though, we don't want to pull him anteriorly and inferiorly. So for those dislocators, we are going to change and be a lot more horizontal and coming up and across this way, so that as he winds out here, the force actually is sort of up and into the joint to help stabilise and resist him into that apprehensive position. Again, you need to judge, do you need a single layer, a double layer, a wide tape, a narrow tape? Will depend on the amount of force that you need, how acute it is, the activities the person's going to be doing. You do need to vary your position also depending on their range of motion. So it is if it's an elite thrower or tennis player, they tend to have a lot of external rotation. We only need it resisting towards the end of their range, so they may be 180 degrees of external rotation. So for them, we might be putting it on in this position. If it's one of our rugby players or somebody with a dislocation who's a lot tighter, they're not getting into that range, then we might really need to shorten them up, internally rotate, horizontally flex, so that it's resisting them really quite soon in their range.